So this is a 5-year-old reining horse named Dalton. We've only had him a month, so he'd never seen this post pen for the first 5 years of his life, but he was a candidate for it right off the bat because he's really a nice, gentle, thoughtful, athletic horse that needed to be shown something about going around the corner. And so we went right in here and started in, and he took to it really well, so that's who we're going to use today. We're not going to go through all of what this takes on a young horse because there's a whole bunch of just settling and quieting and getting him to want to be in the pen and maybe walk up into a corner and just be okay here. He's well beyond that. So I'm going to use a rope on him, and I've got a Vosal on him, which is a piece of headgear that kind of bumps him under the chin. You do that on a more bridled horse like he is. His reins are just up through the pommel and tied at the cantle so I can adjust them left or right, but we just want it straight. We just want both reins to be equal pressure. At some point in here, we'd be in a snaffle bit earlier, which we didn't have to do on this horse because he was nicely in the bridle. But in a snaffle bit, and you might have one rein low and one rein high and all kinds of different ways to connect this to help them learn what we're after. But what we're after is look right, look left, step left, and load up and go into a corner and then go around it. Don't start leaning around the corner. So first thing, I'm going to step him up into this corner and just wait. He's ready to go on around. I'm going to move his hindquarters a little bit to his left so that he's ready to go on around the corner, but he's not going. So now we'll go to the next one. Now maybe show you his hindquarters a little better in this corner. His hindquarters need to step a little bit to his left, like that, so that he can swing his front end around to the right, like that. So we're doing that in slow motion, and that's great. Now I'm going to change direction 180 degrees, slowly, so I can show you. He's going to step through here, not back up because those boards won't let him. It's pretty solid. He's going to come in here, do the exact same thing, except he's looking left instead of right, and his hindquarters is slightly right, so that if I ask him to, he can step, the first step is his front leg to the left. So that's the early stages of this. It looks easy, but it takes a while on one that's worried, obviously. So after we get that, now we're going to go into a corner and wait, and he's square, and his hindquarters is slightly out, and his right hind leg is slightly back because we're going to take a left lead out of this. So I'm going to put him back up in there, get him ready. He missed that, we'll get that again, but I just clucked to him once and he's got a nice canter departure and away he goes. His pole is twisted a little bit right now. I'm going to pick up on that, but we're going into those corners, rocking back onto the hindquarters and picking the front end around, not leaning around the corner. And I'll show you this in a minute when we let him rest. All right. He's square in that corner. He's not coming on around the corner. He's square there. That means that he's waiting to the last to turn the corner. It's something that's probably better seen than me trying to describe it, but he's loading up his hindquarters, half halting enough, slowing down enough to not rush, picking his front end up and stepping through the corner. We'll get him set up and canter again, and I'll get a little better canter departure this time. Correct lead. Now, of course, they can miss a lead. Of course, they can cross canter. They can do all that. But this is the finished product, or we're getting there. So once you get this attitude, not only can you use it to help him learn how to pick his front end up and strengthen his back, but mentally it's really good for him. And physically, it's a good way to get a horse in shape. But at first, we can't go too many times around. This is hard work in a small circle like this that's a square, but we round it off, but at any time they can go into that corner. That's the feel you'd like when you're riding your horse out across the arena. You're making a circle by making a whole bunch of straight lines and turns, and anytime you can go straight and anytime you can stop straight. And that's what this thing is so ingenious about. So now we'll change direction. Steps over, he can't back up because that board is solid. Go into this corner, he goes in there waiting. He's looking right, and if I say, he can go right. Now, I can use this pull if one is pulling on me. He's not, but I'll shorten him up a little bit and just let this spin around. And so I can set a smaller circle here, and I don't have to hold him, and it's very steady pull. But he's got to tip his pull a little bit right and canter this circle and stay in a nice, slow, relaxed, collected circle. And at any time, all right, he can step up into a corner and wait. And if I want to move him over a little bit, he can move over a little bit without being worried about it, like that. His hindquarters needs to step slightly to the outside so that his front end can come through. I'll change direction again. All this is good discipline. Step over. Wait. His footwork is set up perfectly. There's the canter departure in the left lead. All right. Now, this horse is doing a whole bunch of what you want one to do in here. It's not because I've been doing this with him for years. He's probably done this 15 times, but he's figured it out nicely because he's a good mover, he's sensible, and we've set it up so that he knows when he's right and he knows when he's wrong. And so if he would be cross cantering, we might hurry him a little bit till he caught that lead and then let him rest. Or if he's not canter departing, it's surprising how quickly a horse learns to canter depart in this setup, because they're so rocked back onto their hindquarters and they're so ready to pick their front end up and go that it just really, I'm amazed at what it does to help a horse move. And we put most of ours in here at some point and just see where they're at. I use a whip, not a flag. A flag you'll see me use a lot on a horse to gentle them or quiet them. And it sounds a little paradoxical, but a flag which makes more noise and more visual stuff is easier to settle one with because you work them through all that. And this just means move. I don't need him to be totally relaxed with this whip. I don't want him to be afraid of it, but it means move. It's more of a disciplinary measure than it is something to sack him out with. But if I go like that, he should handle that. But if I snap this whip at him, it doesn't mean, okay, relax and settle down and handle that. It means go. So that's where, at this stage, I wouldn't be waving a flag at him. I'd be using something that meant go when I say go. That's the basics of it. You can see he's watching me. He's not all let down and relaxed, but he's not doing anything I'm not asking for. And that's the best I know how to show what this pen's good for.